Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the HighLevel Experience Podcast. Before I kick off, just a small little apology. I know we had a bit of a break for the last 2 weeks. Lots been going on my end. Lots of exciting stuff, which I'll share. I might get into as well. But yeah, pretty excited to be back on track. I've got a whole bunch of exciting guests lined up for the next couple of weeks, guys, and I want to see this continue. I don't really like these gaps, but sometimes it just happens, right? Life happens. So anyway, let me introduce you to today's guest. I'm super excited. Our guest today is a titan in the world of digital marketing and pioneer in the integration of AI with sales automation. By his 40s, he had already shaped a formidable career working with global brands to launch high-impact campaigns and innovative marketing strategies. In 2018, he took a groundbreaking leap by founding Lead Hero AI, focusing on empowering SMEs with AI-driven systems to revolutionize their lead generation and sales processes. His efforts have unlocked over 300 million in sales and saved businesses more than 200,000 hours, proving that technology can indeed take the wheel in customer engagement and sales. He's an author of the best-selling book, Leads Machine, and recipient of the prestigious HighLevel Gold Award that we're all striving for. And he is not just a thought leader, but a practical innovator dedicated to transforming business growth through technology. Please welcome to the show a fellow high-level SaaSpreneur, Francis Rodino.
Woo! With an intro like that, I was expecting the applause, the sound effects, the whistles, the pretty girl.
Yeah. I didn't manage. Yeah. But that's an interesting idea. Maybe in my
But what you can do with like just a few resources.
Let's spice it up 100%. Mate, you've helped businesses unlock like a lot of money in sales and save them a heap of time with AI and automation. But, before you let Hero AI that you've got, Elite Hero that you've got now, and, publishing best-selling books and all that, you were building global campaigns for brands like PlayStation. Can you take us back to that turning point? Like what inspired this shift from big brand marketing to building scalable systems for everyday businesses?
Well, I think I've always, I was in the corporate for 25 years before starting my company and helping kind of smaller businesses. Let's face it. And I guess the thing is that in the corporate world, it's not for everyone, and I have nothing against having a corporate job, but I never felt like I was always in the right place at the right time in my corporate career. There was something always a little bit like, I was always questioning like too much, like, why are we doing this? What's the point of this? And so
Yeah.
I would say I didn't really respond well to authority and politics within a corporate environment, although I was very much a get shit done type of guy, and I kind of led teams and people wanted me on their teams. And I did work on great campaigns and digital products and services. We helped NatWest build its first online banking platform just at the .com boom at Razorfish. At the BBC, we launched brands like Doctor Who, Top Gear online when Facebook was coming out, and building a followings on social media. And I'm not going to discount that experience. But then, you really get to the point where you get a little bit older and you start to question more, and for me, the job became more about justifying yourself within a corporate structure rather than being valued on your output or your impact, right? And that just didn't sit well with me anymore, because if you get to it, in life, in your 20s and 30s, you feel like you have plenty of time to learn and make mistakes. And you can try things, you have the luxury of youth to try things out. And if they don't work out, you can pivot. And that's where a lot of people's careers kind of tend to have them sway around and try different things and people don't always find themselves and find out who they are. And a lot of the time, not always, but at least with me, I always felt unfulfilled and like I wasn't reaching my full potential in terms of what I could do, what I wanted to do, being valued, being recognized,
Yeah.
selfishly. That's important too, to feel significant.
Oh,
So
big time.
I think it was at a point where I just got married. I was global head of digital media in a $3 billion corporation that many people would know about. And, I was just sick of being a number on a spreadsheet that a private equity firm could just come along and say, all right, well, what's our budget this year? Okay, we're going to cut that or restructure that. You go here, you go there. And you just don't have any kind of say or control. And it has nothing to do with your work ethic, nothing to
Yeah.
do with your output.
Is it like bigger the business, less personal it gets?
Maybe, but I think at the flip side, I used to think that that might be true, but I've also kind of worked for more boutique kind of businesses and agencies. I work for government funded agencies, and they all have uh, a lot of imperfections, and I never really found a way to navigate that in a happy way. And so I just came to the point where I thought, you know what, I know that I can get shit done. And so I can either continue to play this game and grow older and retire and define my next decades by building other people's dreams, or I can take that same energy, passion, know-how, dedication, commitment, and I can actually build it for myself and have control over what it is, who we work with, what our services are, the value, and just take ownership and responsibility, which I kind of felt I didn't have. You're in the corporate job. I felt like it's kind of like you're on a river on an inflatable boat,
Yeah.
right? And it's just you don't have any oars, and it's just going. And yeah, it just if the river is nice and easy and great, you can just go for years. Yeah, but sometimes there's a waterfall, and sometimes there's a fork in the road. But you don't choose. Are you going left or right? No, will choose for you, and then you can deal with whatever are the consequences there.
Yeah.
Restructuring.
Francis, can I stop you there? Right, there's so much that I can relate. This is, and I bet like a lot of guys listening, they feel like, yeah, I mean, I would think so at least. I mean, this is the entrepreneurial journey, so typical, right? We work for somebody, we are more of perfectionists, we see alternative ways how things could be done better. Our voice don't get heard, or you might suggest it, but it doesn't. It just lands on deaf ears, and it just feels like this is just what am I doing here? It's just a number. I'm just not being like nobody gives a shit, right? I mean, I'm the same. That's why I run my own business. Like I've worked for businesses everywhere. I always went into same thing. I look at the imperfection. I look at why are we doing this like this stupid way, and like I get it. Like perfection kills progress too, right? So there's that. But if you look at something and then like, yeah, no, that's how we've been doing it for the last 10 years. Just go with, just just follow the rules. Like, well, you're telling me you haven't changed anything for the last 10 years, then that's like, I mean, that's just not satisfying at all to work in a place like that, right?
And yeah, absolutely. I mean, and some people have great, brilliant careers in corporate. So I don't want to be that guy that just says all corporate is shit, but it really
Oh
is
yeah,
about finding your. This is gonna sound cheesy, but I wouldn't say passion. It's not about passion. I'm not that naive, but finding a place where you can make a contribution, and that contribution is valued, appreciated, right? I think that was really important for me. Like in 25 years, I never got a promotion. To earn more money, I had to leave and get another job. No one gave me a pat on the back. It was just expected that you do the thing, right? And that to me, it's again, very selfishly, it's like, what the hell? Okay, 20s, 30s, you're working, you're learning. But at the point, there is a point where you start to develop a massive amount of knowledge. When I turned 40, I had 20 years of building, launching brands and PPC campaigns and content strategies and brand identities and digital teams and product development. And it kind of like, yes, it just goes on and on and on. Maybe there's a bit more money in your bank account, but at the same time, your expenses go up because if you play that game, your lifestyle and you have kids and your car and a mortgage and actually you earn more money, you earn double the money, but you have double the expenses. And at the end of the day, you go on holiday once or twice a year and you just play that and you have to turn up at an office on Monday to Friday and
Yeah.
justify that you're going to the dentist on Thursday because you have a toothache. And it was like, what the hell? And the amazing thing about today is the tools that we have as entrepreneurs. This is the difference. This is the difference because 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it wasn't as accessible. And also, especially because a lot of people might not want to build a performance based business with a fancy office and lots of people and HR and headcount and all of that thing. Especially in the marketing world, which was kind of like, I think the dream for a while, like 10, 20 years ago, it was like, oh, let's build our cool, funky agency, right? Whereas today, a one person with the tools available can act as 30 people in different ways, now more than ever with the AI agents that we can now start to deploy for our business. So it's very exciting for people. I felt, I felt like I looked around at me at the wo- at the wo- I looked around at the world and I thought, hold on, these tools, this software, I can build a business. I can be a consultant. I can do something that will take care of my family and give me more control and significance, I guess,
Hmm.
and contribution in order to make a greater contribution by myself. And the only problem that you have at that point is the mindset, the mindset shift to go, I can do this. I won't fail. Like the belief in yourself. Because the next question might be, oh, why doesn't everyone do it then? If you can earn more money, make a greater impact, be your own boss, have more time freedom, why doesn't everyone do that? Why? And I
Good
speak
question.
to friends of mine who are still in corporate, and as they get older, they get fired from their jobs, and they're not looking for their jobs, and then they say, "Oh, there's ageism. There's ageism, and then there's male discrimination as well, and there's racial discrimination because HR have to have quotas around who they hire and ethnicities, and oh, we need to have this amount of diversity in the business, and people get pushed, really great experienced people get pushed out of the marketplace, yet
Mm.
they just continue to suffer and look for jobs on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole another. I mean, yeah, that's a whole another can of worm, right? It should be. I mean, recognition and remuneration and positions and hiring all should be based on merit. I mean, yeah. I mean, I want to stay out of politics because I respect everyone's opinion. I don't want to be too polarizing on this subject because, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, it should be based on merit and you're like, actual skills and not just bloody quotas and crap like that. That's
Yeah,
what I
I
think.
mean, everyone should
Yeah.
have a chance, and that's the thing. In everyone, meaning older people, white people, black people, gay people. I mean, everyone should have a chance, and you hire the
Yes.
best person, right? But it's
Yes.
kind of not like that. It kind of goes either way, in one way all the way, or the other way all the way, and there's someone that always loses out.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe you didn't expect to talk about this kind of stuff, but and I find it
That's okay.
relevant because
Yeah.
it's, we're talking about tools that empower people to actually do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And why doesn't everyone do it? It's I didn't know how to start a business. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't have high level at the time. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just thought I can do something. I'm capable of more. I can help people. And I had to go on that journey where you just go, I will figure it out, or I will spend every last penny of all of my savings doing it. And I'll burn all of the bridges and never look for a job again. And by the way, in the first couple of years, it was so painful that I did go onto LinkedIn and job boards and think, I can't do this entrepreneurship. Like, it's not
Mm. It's
how long.
perfectly. Yeah, and it's good that you say that because I don't want anybody to think that yeah, like we're all human beings, right? You guys listening, I'm sure you've gone through those moments. I've gone through those moments, and I still get through those moments every now and then, right? It's just the nature of it. Journey of entrepreneurs, the entrepreneur journey, full of up and downs, right? But at the end of the day, it's you look at you average it out, and as long as it's going up, that's great. Might just take longer, but yeah, I'm all with you on that. It's a tough one, but
It's
very, very
resilient, but I think, if
yeah,
anybody's listening and can relate to some of these stories of challenges and pain, it's not, I think, especially when you're starting out, the challenge is not like getting the money and building your business as quick as possible. It's basically just staying in the game and not quitting, and the resilience. And it's kind of like when Rocky Balboa in Rocky 5 says something like, it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how many times you can get hit and still get up. And I really feel that
yeah,
quote makes a lot of sense to me, because even today I get punched in the face, but I take it much better than I did earlier on. And earlier on, you get punched in the face a lot because what do you? It's no, no, rejection constantly. No, 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 no.
yeah,
And if you leave and go, you're out. But if
yeah.
you continue down that path, you were learning from every punch. Some of the biggest business punches in my entrepreneur life have actually helped me develop new products, which I'm
Brilliant.
monetizing right now. It's like, fuck that guy. Tell he fuck me or right. We're gonna develop a product and we're gonna show him, and it's gonna do this and this and this. And then we have an info product which we're monetizing via ads, and it would never have happened if you don't get those slaps.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's actually both is good. Both is good. You're either learning or you're growing. There's no bad,
there you go. So I'm
right?
not sure do you need to beep out any cursing?
Not. It's This is my show. I'm totally unapologetic. The way whatever I say, this is a bit of a therapy
We're
for me, I
18,
guess.
we're 18
Yeah,
podcasts.
it's no, it's all good, mate. It's all good. And I was gonna segue. You were saying, getting punched in the face, and you learn from these experiences. I don't know. My brain works weird ways. But I got this I got a segue. It's not really a segue, but I was gonna say one of the best experiences that I found was when I was back in the Czech Republic last year. I caught up with a couple of my mates, went to Berlin, and we just did like a training camp. I'm not a martial artist or anything, but mate of mine, he does teach people Krav Maga. He's like, come over to Berlin. There's a few other my mates up from Scotland. You know them as well. And we're just going to beat the shit out of each other for 4 days. How does that sound? Like, that sounds brilliant. And I got to say, there's something pretty special about like training 8 hours a day, practicing some martial arts that gives you skill. But also at the end of that training for the last hour, just putting the gloves on and just sparring, just like in a friendly way. No anger or like that, but like just beating the shit out, like therapeutical as hell. Probably not for everybody, but it was brilliant for like
got some aggression out of you, and then you're like,
oh, big time. Yeah. You let some steam out. At the end, we hug it out. Go for beers. Go for steak. Just brilliant. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Like, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the obvious. What I think a lot of people might want to hear. We got some new SaaSpreneurs or wannabe SaaSpreneurs, high levelers here in listening as well, and I want to make sure that we provide some practicality here as well, because whilst sharing personal journeys and wisdom, I love it. I want to make sure we stay about high level as well for those guys listening. So would you mind? I mean, SaaSpreneur just happened in London. I don't know if you're still gold plate or you gone up or what's go, but can you tell us about where you are for the people that don't know you? I know I did a bit of an intro, but if you want to unpack that a little bit, and how did you get to where you're now with, being gold and
yeah. So we built Lead Hero. Lead Hero AI is my SaaS agency. But, the word SaaS, I have kind of like, it's not clear to me what that really means in the context of high level.
Mm-hmm.
Because high level is used in so many different ways by different businesses. And this whole idea of self-serve, software as a service,
right?
It
Because on your website it's like done for you, set up.
Yeah, I think that's really
right?
what we came to evolve. The evolution of working with high level has been that if we don't set up and customize and service, we have more churn than it's worth. Right. So,
and you're talking volume. You know the numbers from the volume that you've done. It's not just like
exactly. Well, the thing is that we came to a certain volume, right? But I'm less interested now in getting to like 500 or 1,000 SaaS clients.
Yeah.
Because I just realized that the work involved to keep them on and keep the results coming in are very time consuming for us and costly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of in a different world now where high level is becoming more well known amongst many businesses. So you can't pretend it's your software anymore. Whereas in the beginning, 7 years ago, that was the key to SaaS. It was like, oh, I have my own software. Come on board, and you can do all of this. And look, I hold my hand up. I did it. We got clients that way. My competitors did it. A lot of people jumped on board and copied exactly what we were doing. But as high level became more well known as a brand, people would just leave us and go direct to high level. Like if you're savvy enough to use it as a SaaS by yourself, meaning set everything up yourself, create workflows yourself, set up and configure email deliverability, all of that. If you actually can do it yourself, you don't need a SaaS provider like us to just offer you high level.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
You know what I mean? And so that really wasn't the problem back in the day when we started, because they didn't know what was the alternative. Like high level was this, they didn't know there was something underneath, right? And that was high level. And then you could just pay $97 a month and go direct and get it. And they have onboarding and they have support. and you can jump on Zoom calls with them. It's like, why on earth? If you're technically savvy, why on earth would you go with any other kind of agency and get stuck on HighLevel with them, right?
So yeah, so let's go into that because now we're scaring a lot of people off now. Like what? So I shouldn't do HighLevel? No, let's unpack it because it's what they could do, but the reality is different, right? We know it. With small businesses, is not that.
Absolutely. So I'm one of those guys. I'm talking about what the opportunity is now because it's a little bit different to what how we developed our first 100 clients. And I
Mm-hmm.
talked about this in my talk. My talk at SaaSpreneur was all about this. And we had joint ventures, we did partnerships, we did webinars, we niched down into trades in the UK, and we developed also some online products to help businesses with their marketing, and then we would put them on our HighLevel. But I'll tell you that it was very customized, white glove, all those 100, where
Mm-hmm.
it was not just, oh, here's HighLevel. No, it was, we'll integrate your website forms, we'll set you up with custom tracking numbers. So we would do a lot of work on the front end, and sometimes we would charge setup fees, and sometimes we wouldn't. And we never really had a rule around that because it's very difficult to just put it in stone, or else for us and in
Yeah.
our market in the UK. So ours was, we realized we needed to set up our clients properly. We would charge maybe a couple of grand, and for larger clients up to 10K, 10, 15K,
Yeah.
depending
Easily. Yeah. Yeah.
easily on
Yeah.
complexity. But that's not SaaS. It becomes a SaaS once they've been onboarded and built out and trained. So it sounds like it's more like systems, self-serve systems, which we
Yeah.
do now. And that's why I think the point of differentiation is about how we build your system and consult and do the smart thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have the knowledge I and my team have to build your system, you absolutely don't need us. But 99% of people don't. And so
Yeah.
we are very specific about, like, we're looking for businesses that have that knowledge gap, technical gap, where we can come in as consultants and say, all right, well, this is where you are. We can use HighLevel, and we use our HighLevel as a tool, and we'll build out what you need, and then you can log into it and use it on a day-to-day basis, and then that's self-serve.
Yeah.
But we don't just kind of sell. You can't just go online and pay some money and just get on. That's the thing. So we're a little bit different in that respect. And I like talking about that because I think that in the US, you have a lot of people that just talk about scaling HighLevel and how easy it is. And maybe that's what they've experienced in the market. But
Yeah.
actually, it took us many years and a lot of work to get a SaaSpreneur award. It's been nice to have that as an achievement. But at the same time, you know, we're very much about strategy, systems, thoughtfulness. And now that we have that kind of client base, we don't really seek that $100 a month kind of just sell HighLevel and just use it.
No.
No,
Yeah.
none of our clients use it. That's the thing. None of our clients, they're so busy, business owners doing their business, growing their business, doing something else, that don't have capacity to go in and set up the conversational AI. So it does that. That you need to engage in that done for you, I think, is a really important part.
Yeah.
Knowing how to do it right.
Yeah, no, there's so much that I relate to because I've got my business model at my agency, Stand Out from the Pack, very, very similar. Systems, onboard systems, and obviously big leverage on on snapshots because that's where you make it more profitable. But yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I did recently started to get into a bit of a custom stuff again, which was interesting, lucrative, but not scalable. You know, the two-step system that Troy Dean suggests from the agency Mavericks. You go the
No, what's
discovery
that?
onto.
No, tell me what that
It
is.
works. It's brilliant. It's how I use it, right? So you've got a small business that might have like 10 employees and plus. You know, they've got like a decent turnover, and you know they're busy doing their thing. Like I'm talking to a plumber right now, and he's branching out into electrician's work and HVAC and all those. He wants to grow his empire, right? And so we just scoped it out, and obviously he's using his job management system. I think he's using ServiceMate, but he doesn't really have the scalable thing for sales, for lead gen for sales. So that's what I know I can provide.
Mm-hmm.
And so the process is you strike a conversation with somebody like that, obviously build a bit of rapport, BNI, or whatever you need to do. But once you get a bit of a trust in the market and you get that opportunity to talk to a client like that, especially the business owner, I get on Zoom. I used to do it in person, but now the rule is always Zoom because I need to gather all that intel.
Yeah.
So it's like a 90 minutes call, discovery call. And if I see, okay, this is definitely a viable thing, they definitely are interested, then I would sell them a strategy package, which might be, depending on size of the business and depending how I already in my head know how complex it's going to be, but typically minimum would be 1,000 at the bare minimum, but really want to be like 5K or even like 10K. And what that is a series of additional subsequent discovery sessions where we go into more detail about the current processes, doing more research in the industry, research about their area, research about their business, how they run it. And then, so I use this thing called double diamond, which is a human-centered design thinking. So you got 2 diamonds, and the first one is figuring out the core problem statement, and then the other one is figuring out the core solution. And each diamond is like divergent, convergent thinking. So the first half of the diamond is like open wide, there's no limits. And that's those discovery calls, trying to list down all the different problems that the client is facing, all the different bottlenecks. Then distill it down into the second half. Is that convergent? Convergent is narrowing down, is it? Yeah. So then you go into the convergent, distilling it onto those core problems that you know are going to be making the most impact for the business. And then you go into prototyping the solution. Now, a solution is obviously something that's going to be built inside HighLevel. So then I use mind mapping tool like ClickUp has a whiteboard thing. I love it. And I just visually map it all out. So the first half, I actually map it out as well, which is like the current state. Mm-hmm. And then the second half is actually map it out, visual representation of the assets in HighLevel. So what exact pipeline, what exact stages, what custom fields I'll need to develop. There I'll be like qualifying, because there's going to be particular questions that should be put into forms and surveys for that particular business. Everything's going to make sense. And you map it all out. Then you have some feedback loops with the client. And things start to make a lot of sense for them because now they can see see it visually. Like, here is traffic, goes here, this automation, this funnel, that funnel, this, and here's AI, and then all that. And then you explain it visually over maybe 2 sessions. And then once you see a client, this is brilliant. Yeah, I need this. At this point, they've already paid you for the development of this. So then you say, look, you paid us for this. Now we're going to pitch you how much is going to be the actual fulfillment. Now we need to actually go and develop it. Mm-hmm. That might be 20K. That might be 30K, whatever. So the way we do it is, we do it like this. And generally the clients goes ahead because now they've seen it. It's not like they don't no longer just see the figure. We don't tell them the figure until the mapping's done. And the way we sell them the strategy package, we say, look, we'll do this. And here, and I'll show them an example. Here's an example we did for somebody else. And then when they see that whiteboard all mapped out, they're like, first of all, that's like showing credibility. And like straight away, you like position yourself as an expert so they can see that you're not just smoke and mirrors. And then you say, look, at the end of that, you're going to have something that is like a kind of like a blueprint. And you can take it to anybody else and get quotes, whatever you want to do. But if you go with us, then whatever you paid for it, we're going to credit you towards the fulfillment. So if it's 30K and you pay 5K, 25K is what you pay. And then obviously you can break it down. So you say, okay, well, it's not going to be upfront, right? There's going to be a roadmap. We're going to have to develop it. It might take us 3 months, but we're going to do it in phases. But you're going to get access to the system right away. And then we're going to do phases. So every milestone, you're going to see even more profitability. But yeah, it works really well, but only for like a bigger business. The only caveat with that there's always going to be custom stuff. So you can always try to go like as much as productize and build stuff on the back of like core snapshots, like a foundation, and then you need to customize those. That's always going to be a little bit faster. But yeah, I mean, interesting approach, but it's worked. It worked so much to a point where you can actually do it even for like, in this guys, if you guys are listening, right? You might be at a point where you've been at high level for a while, and you're like, you know what? I don't really want to grow my own base. I literally have high level, and I'm really good at what I can build a lot of cool shit. You can do is position yourself as somebody who's really good at it, and approach other agencies and actually build them a really good snapshot for a particular industry. And then before you know it, you can actually become a fulfillment partner, which is what happened to me recently. Was approached, build a snapshot, was a big ticket development because it was very nuanced and super technical. And, they loved it so much. And then they pitched it at a conference. That market that it was built for, everybody wanted it. So then they were like, what do we do? Like, what do we do now? Like, just, you've got it now, fulfill on it. But then they realized that they were a service-based agency this whole time. SEO, ads, performance, right? So they didn't have that arm built out or fulfillment team. So then, we struck up a deal, and now I'm their fulfillment partner, and now I'm growing my team and doing that.
That's awesome.
So there's so many opportunities how you can skin the cat. But this is a good one because I don't have to deal with sales, nothing. They just new client we need to fulfill. Okay, you just gotta get the numbers right, make sure that is a good margin. It's brilliant.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, but I don't want to make it about me. I want to get you to talk a bit more about how you guys do what you do. If there's anything particular that you feel like might be worth sharing to some of those guys that might be at the beginning of their journey, maybe like a pro tip, what you reckon?
Yeah, let me get something to show you. So I'll share something that I presented at the SaaSpreneur.
So guys, if you're listening on the podcast, just an audio version, if you want to watch this, head over to youtube.com/HighLevel Experience Podcast. Or if you just head over to HighLevelExperience.com, you'll find the link to YouTube. You can get to it and watch it there.
Awesome. How do we do what we do? It's kind of relevant. This will make sense to you, but I'm going to give you a whirlwind overview of my method. Where is it?
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay. You see my screen there?
Yes, I'm just going to move you to my bigger screen. I can see that. Yep, brilliant. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Have you done any work with Takimore by any chance?
No, I haven't.
No, that's okay.
No.
Yeah, it's just something that resonated.
Yeah,
with
well,
the diagram.
this kind of looks like a Venn diagram. It's a glorified Venn diagram,
Yep.
essentially, and we put our process into this. So, at the end of the day, the businesses that they work with, they aspire to a happy, thriving business life and future, right? That's kind of what people want ultimately, not so much the drill in the drill bit, but that outcome. And in order to do that, we help them with 3 core outcomes: is putting in place greater control, a mechanism for predictable sales, and helping their business stand out visibility.
Yeah,
And
brilliant.
so we create a roadmap for them, because the businesses that we work with, usually, like the businesses, the question I hear so often is, what do I do? What do I do next? Show me, right? Show me a pathway. Because even a lot of small businesses that may not be investing or spending their money in the right way, it's because they don't have confidence and clarity. If they did, they would spend. But we need to show them first, because if they don't see it, they don't do. Just like you said with your strategy session.
Yep.
You use that product to build authority, but also, it's got a lot of good reasons. Get your foot in the door, get paid for it, authority, but it also gives them clarity and confidence as well. And in that roadmap phase, well, actually, sorry, before I get into the hows of the roadmap, the engine lever is the second thing that we pull on. Engine, helping them have the systems go from antiquated to automated, and then driving that race car of a business forward, helping them
Yeah.
go from invisible to irresistible. I call that the red method: roadmap, engine, and drive. And within each lever, there's three core accelerators that we press to get that business moving in the right direction. One is market
Mhm.
intimacy, understanding deeply who you're speaking to, their hopes, fears, dreams, desires, frustrations, extracting the language. It's so much more than the demographics, but psychographics as well, and feelings. And importantly, gauging where they sit on a spectrum of awareness,
Yes.
right? So
This is like a fundamental stuff. I was going to ask you, obviously, you working with those corporates back in the day, that's obviously all a lot of great information as well that you learned there, experiences that you got there. What are some of the things that is not a lot of agencies commonly know about or think about when it comes to figuring out your market?
well, they don't have the tools.
Hmm.
I mean, I think good agencies and good consultants do this stuff, and I think doing it is the most important part,
It
because
is because everything trickles down from it, right?
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And this is where businesses fall down 99% of the time, is that they just go into ads and splash some money here, and they build a
Yeah.
website there. And they don't know what they don't know. So they don't do this stuff. But unfortunately, a lot of the time they work with agencies that also don't do this.
Yeah. They
And
just sell them ads, manage ads, and then here we go. And then you can
exactly.
generate leads, but
Yeah.
then they don't convert because it's
Yeah,
it's the wrong
exactly. Oh, wait,
market. Or
on that point, I didn't want to spend time on this, but one of the things that I talked about in my book is how lead is only 10% of the issue.
yeah,
And that's what businesses want on the superficial level, is they want leads and they don't understand anything else. So I won't kind of get into that, but that's where is
definitely.
kind of having a deeper conversation to
Hmm.
get, yeah, as you said, the solid foundations. Because if you're advertising, especially startups and businesses that have never advertised before, a lot of the time they are not necessarily speaking to the right people at the right time. And if you you're gonna have a hard time marketing if you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
selling something to people who are problem unaware.
Yeah, yeah, you're going for a like decision, and that's like the 1%, and you haven't really set up the foundation that like a, like the 3-step advertising that you meant to do, like the awareness into all that. Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of small businesses are like money conscious, and they just go straight for the offer, straight for the kill, and then like wondering how come they're draining money away, right?
Correct. Yeah. So market, message, using that data to craft your core message and offers, your value proposition, your one line, your unique mechanism. And we have toolkits in a process to run through. And then
Brilliant.
your customer journey map, essentially mapping out all of the stages, what
Hmm.
you're going to say in every stage, how you're going to turn those people from people that don't know you exist to people that know you exist and then consider you, then take action and buy. And sometimes, like, this is relevant for any business, even a plumber, right? But the thing is that in an emergency situation, that map, that customer journey can be very, very quick. You need something, you buy it. Done. Customer journey. You have a problem, you found a solution. However, just because it's quick doesn't mean they don't go through those stages. They just go through those stages very quickly because they're in a greater state of need, right? You still have to show reviews. You still have to show authority that you're reputable. You still have to capture data and follow up and invite people to call. It's always happening. And whether you have a short or long sales cycle, it's always relevant. And so I think it's a mistake for any business to say, oh, I don't need this because people either need my service or they don't. They just call me and we sell. Well, okay. If you want to just, sell to the 3% of the market, fine. But what we do is we build systems. Moving on from there, your engine, which is designed to capture, cultivate, convert leads into sales, everywhere from how they interact with your brand, how you capture the data, what data you capture, in what mechanism, lead magnet, scorecard, phone call, report. There's a thinking process, that can be employed to make these work better, nurture those leads and convert them, and then ultimately drive that forward, reach more people through paid or organic methods. In this case, in the book, I talk a lot about paid ads and the different ways you can use paid ads to reach more people, resell to those people through upsells, downsells, cross sells, and increasing purchase frequency as well. And then refining the system through optimization and knowing the numbers, which very few businesses actually do. Is like, how do you improve? How do you track the data and look at what's not working and make those incremental tweaks to do it? So this is the red method I outline. This is essentially the core content, my book Lead Machine, and this is what we use. And when I sell, for example, we have different names for like different niches, things like that. But, you can sell each one of these areas can be a product in its own right.
Every single one of those blue ones, even as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I
So,
love it. It's brilliant. This is what gives people clarity and confidence when they can see it visually. You mapped it out, and what I like about this model is that it's niche agnostic, because this is relevant for every single business.
mhm.
You've done your homework on this. And if you guys are listening to the podcast, you really got to check it out. You got to see the visual. So I highly recommend you check out the YouTube version, the video version for this. So that's the red method, and you unpack it in your book, The Leads Machine, and it's available on like Amazon and everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. On leadsmachinebook.com, it comes with a whole bunch of bonuses as well as the book in a custom GPT format. So we
Yeah.
basically uploaded the book into ChatGPT, but also prompted it so that it's kind of ready for anybody to use and design sales copy, funnels, landing pages without you having to think of the good prompting. It's kind of just accurate. And so that's kind of a little bump on that.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I've got a bunch of questions that I want to segue into, but since we're on to some resources and stuff, let me just pitch a little offer for you to the guys listening. So, guys, if you're listening right now, before we move to the next part of this episode, I want to highlight something powerful that Francis is making available just for you guys listening. If you're serious about converting more leads, scaling your agency, and putting your CRM to work as a 24/7 sales machine, then you definitely need to check this out. Head over to highlevelexperience.com/Francis Rodino. There, you'll get access to his best-selling book, Leads Machine, where he breaks down the RED method, his proven 9-step framework to build consistent, scalable lead gen, But that's not all. He's also thrown in extra bonuses and ready to deploy GHL Snapshot designed to implement his strategies instantly inside your own high-level account. This is a rare chance to shortcut your path to predictable revenue and AI-powered automation. So don't miss it. Once again, that link is highlevelexperience.com/Francis Rodino. Check it out and start building your own leads machine today. And that's the pitch. So, couple of rapid fire questions. In your experience, how has the integration of AI in marketing changed the landscape for SMEs? Can you share it's a two-step question. Can you share a success story where AI made a significant impact on one of your clients' growth?
Yeah, well, I think already there people are still a little bit apprehensive of using voice AI in businesses, but when it's done right with the right type of business and it gets the job done, it can be fantastic. And we had a client, plumbing and heating business, and their problem was they just wanted to have after hours and weekends 24/7 responsiveness, and they just didn't have that before. So we built out their voice AI. We use HighLevel to do that, and very efficient, and it works. You can, with the right prompting and integration with workflows, you can do some pretty clever stuff. And so I think more and more people are starting to see, hold on, this works very well. And it's been a learning curve getting it to work right in certain businesses. But I think, people are getting a little bit more accustomed to speaking with AI voice, especially in niches like home services where you just want to book. You just want something you want to be listened to and booked and to know you're sorted. And so that kind of works really well.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's brilliant. And HighLevel just released the version 2 last week or 2 weeks ago, which definitely has been a noticeable improvement. Have you noticed?
In what? No, I haven't actually. So what has
The
been some of the improvements to the V2?
So V2 faster response, less lagging, and a little more human-like conversation. Still depends on which voice. It always comes down to which voice you pick. Some of the voices are a little more robotic sounding, and that might be an intent. You might have use case that it needs to be like that. But yeah, I mean, definitely a big difference between 1 and 2, where it's doing less glitching, less looping, and things like that. So if you guys haven't checked it out, that is available now. You just have to head over to your agency level of HighLevel, go to labs, so agency level labs, and then you control the sub account, because that's the new thing, right? So you're gonna go on a sub account labs and turn it on there, and you can pick which accounts you want to allow it, and then you got to go into the account. And if you already got a sub account that you build voice AI in, then it's like a button to upgrade. It's like a one click. There's no going back on that one. Just be careful what you do. Make sure you create a duplicate of that one. And then one thing with that one, you do need to tweak your prompting a little bit. Just test your prompts, but the prompts do work slightly different in V2. But the upside is you're gonna have better sounding, better performing voice AI agent. That's for sure. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of voice AI recently. I mean, you're talking about those nuances. It's it's workflows, but it's also plugging like external webhooks. You can get really like creative with this stuff. Recently, we've been doing some custom project for an industry where when you speak to AI over the phone, it asks you for a zip code in order to tap into an external database to tell you a quality about certain asset or something, back on the call, and then you take action. So it's really, really impressive what can be done. It's no limits, really. Yeah. So yeah, very, very, very good. Let me see if there's one more question just on this. So you've been featured on Forbes and Entrepreneur magazine. How has media recognition impacted your business?
Well, I mean, it's always good for SEO and authority and differentiation. I think personal brand is important. We are very, everybody's different. Everybody brings something unique, but not everyone the public doesn't always know that, right?
Yeah.
So it's been helpful to the exposure has been good. Same thing with the book. It's really just an exercise of putting unique IP out there in the world, because like in the age of AI and tech, and I think, the bar to entry is very low to get
Yeah.
into. this whole world. Just watch some YouTube videos, right? But at the same time, your experience and the IP that you developed over a course of time, that's what's really valuable. So being able to communicate that and put that online in a book, on podcasts like yours as well, so people have the opportunity to see how you think, that's really important.
Yeah, and it's another touch point, and it does job for you. I mean, you hear it all the time, and I 100% trust it. I believe it. Where's the best time you spend is on building assets like this, because you build an asset and it becomes evergreen. It becomes your business card. It becomes a new touch point that you can then also repurpose, right? You got a book, now you turn it into an audiobook. Now you
Yeah.
repurpose it into like bite-sized chunks, and then you got your social media sorted, and it becomes like a flywheel and cross promotes each other, and it's brilliant. Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, I don't have it on my, actually, strangely, I don't have it on my to-do list, but the idea of having a book sounds pretty good.
I
So
didn't
well
use
done.
AI to write it either.
I mean, I don't think you would need it with your wealth of experience. Yeah. I mean, what was your approach? You just a lot of coffee and typing it out, or
A lot of coffee.
note taking? Yeah.
It took years. There was a lot of stop and start, but I just once a week would kind of develop the content, and I think not to rush it is a strategy in itself. Just to not everybody wants everything right now. Of course, I want my wildest dreams right now, but in reality, I think it's just little things over time that you keep on doing that compound, so.
And I thought also think even for yourself, you then value it a lot more,
Mhm.
because, like, I mean, like you said, if you spun, I mean, we know it, you can spun up a book in a day if you wanted, just jump on ChatGPT. But would you value that work? Would you
Mhm.
feel like, confident going out to a store and like promoting it and all that? I don't know. I would feel a bit of a fraud if I did that. For sure. So anyway, mate, really good to have you on the show.
Thank you,
I've
Vic.
got these last couple of questions and then we'll wrap it up. These are high level related, just rapid fire, quick questions. First one: what about high level originally grabbed your attention? Was it something specific or problem you were trying to solve?
Yeah, I think it was the really specific thing was just being able to have multiple sub accounts and copy and paste the work that you've done in one into another. That was really game changing concept at the time because we all know that building something for one client is a lot of work and a lot of cost. But all of a sudden, if you can take that, replicate it with a touch of a button and not use other tools, wow, that was really, I think, the thing that made high level, a tool for agencies. It was a winning USP for that particular problem. And I think it's an interesting question because did we know, as marketers, did we even know we had a problem? It's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting one. Like, remember, because before using high level, people were using Zapier and Active Campaign and Calendly and
Duct
Twilio and
taping,
things
yeah.
like that. Yeah. And at the time, I'm not sure we even knew that that was a problem. We just kind of thought that that's just how you do it.
I think this is one of those we didn't know any better.
We didn't know any better. Like, was someone actually thinking, oh, I'm going to build an all-in-one platform and solve that problem? Obviously, yes, because look what happened. But it's so interesting to think, it's fascinating to me where sometimes, we don't see our problems. We just think our problems are status quo and normal. And then
Mm-hmm.
something else comes along and goes, hold on, I've just fixed that. It's like, okay, now I can't live without you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
I have RSS feed directly plugged into my Slack to get updates about all the updates that high level releases, and there's almost daily things. But curious if there's a particular feature that you're like really looking forward to. and why?
There's so many features already.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're going to build more as the technology changes. So I can't really say I'm looking forward to one specific feature. They're already building AI, so there's probably going to be more of that. It'll be interesting to see. I have heard through the grapevine that the whole way you design funnels is going to be completely re-architected to be
Oh, wow.
chat based. So people would just be like, design me a funnel for a barber shop of this color, and here's all the information, and this is what I want. And it just goes like lovable, with a form, design me,
Yeah.
so we're kind of getting into that place where the creation of these tools will potentially be chat based. And I've heard, this is not like official news, but I've heard that that's on the cards for things like the funnels. So that will be interesting as things get easier and easier. But what's interesting again about these innovations is how with every innovation, that bar to entry becomes lower and
Yep.
lower and lower and lower and lower. And now, like, you know, people that never would have been in marketing are now in marketing because it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
And that's why that's why I focused on method like the red method, because just because you can build a funnel with chat doesn't mean you're going to grow a business. It just means you'll have a nice looking funnel, right? So
Yeah.
this is, I think, like the opportunity for businesses. It's not actually build me a funnel, a landing page, a form, use HighLevel. No, it's actually the strategy, the stage.
Yeah. Holistic approach. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like you are the Yoda. You're the smart, sophisticated, holistic strategy person. That's what I enjoy. And that's what I think businesses really need. And if you can use HighLevel as your tool, as your lightsaber to get shit done, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Holistic approach what works. The same thing. I used to be personal trainer. You hear some of these advices. Like you want to lose weight, just diet. And then like, well, that's okay. So if I just diet, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose all muscle too, right? That's not holistic. So yeah. Next question. We have this segment called the beef. And this is basically discussing like a constructive feedback and on high level to help improve the platform and give you or any of the listeners an opportunity to get some upvotes on a thing that you've put on the ideas board. Is there any like a challenge or frustration that you faced with high level particular feature recently that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I think it's just kind of improving its uptime and scalability, which is really important. I know, we have a lot of complaints about not being able to log in. Certain users can't see this or that not. And then, bugs that appear and then disappear. It's constant. This is nothing new, right? And it's kind of like we know this because we know that HighLevel, you get a lot more out of using HighLevel and it's worth dealing with the bugs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, taking a step back and fixing that, the foundations of the core product, I think are really, really important. And I know they're doing it, but it's not done. It's a work in progress, never really been fixed 100% like other solutions that just work consistently.
Yeah.
So I know that they're conscious of that, and we need to explain that to our clients. When we get notifications from our clients that this isn't working or that isn't working, we know that they get a lot more out of it. There's a big gap between the times that it doesn't work or doesn't solve the job and the value that they get. However, at the same time, we need to be more robust and make sure that in, they don't have these costly downtime issues.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, like you said, they've got a team, they're working on it, but also it's very democratic unless you go to town halls, which is a bit of a shortcut. But it is mostly based on the upvotes through the community. So that's what they focus on, is based on where the And I think this is just the nature of software, right? Is where's the biggest bottleneck? Where's the biggest pain point? Where is people are? So it's which one has got the most upvotes? I mean, I can't imagine any other way. How would you manage it? I can't. Like, that's why I would never want to have that many developers. I mean, kudos to them for doing that, taking over that headache for us. So yeah, HighLevel's awesome. HighLevel's awesome, but it's a software, like any software, it's technology. So that's just the name of the game. But if you guys have a particular feature that you've posted on the ideas board, and maybe it's not getting enough traction, and there's many reasons why. Sometimes just things get buried, and oftentimes there are feature suggestions or improvement suggestions in the ideas board that actually have really valid, like they're actually solid idea that should have a lot more upvotes. But it's just one of those where we didn't even know we had a problem, but then you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good one. So anyway, so you can't promote it through the Facebook group because they'll take your post down. That's just how that works. The only way is kind of hoping that it gets discovered. Well, here's me. I'm going to give you an opportunity to get it discovered. All you need to do is head over to highlevelexperience.com/the beef, and you can submit your beef. You can just fill up a form, add your link to the ideas board, the post. If you record it on a voice, like a little voice file, even better, because I can insert you into the episode. You get a little shout out, and more people will learn about your idea. And if it makes sense to everybody, you'll get more upvotes, and then we all win. So that's the opportunity number one. Opportunity number two is a 3-for-3 segment. So you've already shared one success story there, Francis. So I'm not going to go back to that. But for you guys listening, if you are an established agency, or if you even just started but you've had some really good wins, there's nothing better like just getting a bit of a validation of your efforts, a bit of a recognition for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But also what you're going to do is you're going to motivate somebody else to show them what's possible. So it's basically 60 seconds, short message, just your name of your agency, and name of your client. You don't have to go like, obviously, you can make up the name of the client, doesn't matter. But what impact you've been able to create for their business or for their lifestyle as a result of helping their business. Something inspiring. There's all these amazing stories that are not being said that deserve to be known about. So if you guys have a story like that, I'd much appreciate if you head over to highlevelexperience.com, and there's a button there on the main page, highlevelexperience.com, share your story. And the actual URL is actually simple. So it's highlevelexperience.com/your story. And you get to submit it through the form. Again, a little audio or video, and I'll plonk you into the episode. You get a little shout out for your agency as well. And you never know what might come out of it. There's a lot of other high levelers listening. And, if you've never been to like events, go to events, by the way. You go to a Level Up Summit, you go to SaaSpreneurs, and you'll be surprised how many big agencies are looking for talent, because onboarding and fulfillment is one of the harder things to scale. You can do it better. You can do it more scalable with good snapshots, but there's still a lot of them who may have started high level and actually have a lot of sub accounts on the back of being like an influencer, but they actually don't have the foundation set up, the back end. So they need, and so, share your story. You never know. Somebody might listen and they'll approach you. I'm all about creating opportunities, guys. So this is one of those opportunities. Francis, your offer as well, just to highlight that again, just to give you the shout out, guys, head over to highlevelexperience.com/Francis Rodino to get access to all the cool resources that Francis is offering. Francis, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast, mate. I appreciate you. If there's one final piece of advice you'd like to share to the listeners right now would be a good time.
Stay in the game. You only fail when you give up. Keep on going, keep on learning.
You're either learning or growing. Yeah, that's great. Brilliant. I love it. Nice and simple, very effective. Francis, thank you so much again. Guys, thank you for listening to today's episode on the High Level Experience. I know I had a bit of a gap, but I'm back and I'm excited. And I'm going to share some news later on in some of the episodes. So make sure you keep tuned in. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with other fellow agency mates and other high levelers that you think would also benefit from listening. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS with high level, please go to highlevelexperience.com. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.